So the next one in line, though, and there's so many, because we've talked about, what did I say? We've talked about disassociation, derealization, depression, detachment, and now we're on to depersonalization, which is actually really kind of like self-explanatory in a lot of ways. But in psychology, depersonalization is a dissociative experience characterized by a feeling of detachment from one's own body. Okay, so no, that's not actually, this is why I don't trust AI anymore. I grabbed small excerpts, but thankfully I have training in this, so I already know. So the way that I would categorize the difference between having like a disassociation where you're feeling outside, depersonalization is more where you are literally taking yourself out of the reaction. Depersonalization is what I did, and it can be an active when it's not a reaction or an unhealthy extreme. Depersonalization is what allowed me to distance myself from the situation at Night Stars in order to try to be the best support for her without involving my own emotions, thoughts, and feelings into it. So it's not always all a bad thing. But the problem is that when you are depersonalizing things in a current active, like where you're like, for that case, like we went there to help, we had a set purpose, like I was doing it. But like depersonalization on the other side, where you're literally taking yourself out of the situation from an emotional aspect, not necessarily detaching, but making the situation less personal to you so that it can't touch you. You can't be as emotionally affected by it. So it's very, it can be a disorder. It can be temporary, but it is very often, it's an emotional numbing. And it can even lead to physical numbness. Yes. And is one of the key things that is at the heart, which is coming up in the next, like one of the next ones, of memory loss. So depersonalization is just literally, it's not as full as detaching, where you're like out of body. Like, I mean, it's similar, but depersonalization is more where you have removed your own stakes emotionally for the situation at hand, if that makes sense. And I definitely think that with me, like, I mean, I did that with Nightstar, and I don't think I would have ever survived the last 10 years of my marriage if I didn't literally learn how to do that. There's a difference between having it be a dysfunction and having it be, you know, like I don't think that I necessarily was fully depersonalizing things in my marriage, but I was like, you know, having to calm myself and deal with my own emotions before I could appropriately express them as I was healing. And so, you know, the depersonalization in that aspect, like sometimes you just got to be like, okay, even though this really hurts me and it really upsets me and whatever, I cannot lash out in an emotional manner. I need to keep it logical. And there's a balance. But when you literally lose control of that and it begins to feel dreamlike and it feels like it's just not even like you're literally taking yourself, like the interactions you're having, because that's where I would actually categorize it with Nightstar. As she kept regressing, I got more and more detached in that manner, depersonalizing the situation. I wasn't losing my best friend. I was losing a pain in my ass, you know? And I don't know if that's part of where I don't feel it. Like, I mean, I don't know. After the end of this last year, the one thing I know is that as much as I did have, the circle may have gotten really small, but the people who love me did everything they could. And I'm talking about like you kids and Power Game did everything they could to at least, because I just want to clarify that, because everybody, like, I've had love thrown in my face so much in this last year. Nah, love is an action, not a word, guys. Okay. Wow. I love you, Power Game. That's how you're gonna treat me. Okay. Just friends, buddy. Just friends.
Emotional, damn it.
You almost made my beer come out my nose. But anyways, yeah. So I know that I had those, but I wish, you know, if I could be real, I wish I could have depersonalized the last year, the quote unquote, whatever I fucking experienced. I can't even call that a relationship. You know what I can call that? A mind fucked mess. So we got, let me see here. We got one more big one to talk about, and then I'm going to couple the last four after that in the final video.